yesterday at Stamford Bridge. I mean, it was a lively 1-1 draw, that is for sure. What about Salah throwing a small tantrum as he was subbed off by Klopp? Klopp was like, nothing to see here afterwards. But do we give passes to big-time players when it comes to attitude? Roy Keanes said yesterday he wasn't impressed, saying Salah should sit down and shut up.
Well, I think he's right to an extent. I mean, look, the eternal battle has raged over decades of players believing that they have the ability to be able to countermand or supersede a manager's opinion. And the manager is the manager. In that instance, Martin's on £750 a week. These guys are on 50, 60, 100, £250,000 a week. They're independent islands in their own right, and the jurisdiction and control means the management skills that managers have to have even far more varied now, because you've got different levers to have to pull. I don't think a player should be skipping off the pitch if he thinks he's done a good job. Also, he's got in the back of his mind he's scored a goal in every single game for the last 7 seasons he's playing in English football. He's got a personal little milestone. Right, wonderful, but it's about, there's no I in team, is there? It's about the team. And so he's coming off and he's having a little turn. That's not a problem, because if you think you've done well, you don't want a player hopping, skipping off. You think, what's that all about? But the histrionics behind the scenes, where you're carrying it on, that's where Keane qualified it. Roy is very abrupt and to the point, and I like it. I like the fact when he moves out of the pantomime pantomime villain part and goes into the actual analysis of it, it's great to listen to. And I think he's right, but he qualified it by saying, I don't mind him coming off like that, but if you carry on behind the scenes, pack it in, sit down and shut up. And I think he's right. And I guarantee you that Klopp, to camera, will say nothing about it. He'll say nothing about it because he won't be wanting to give anybody any legs in this particular debate. But behind the scenes, he'll say to Salah, not sure about that, not necessary. I understand you're frustrated, but I'm the manager and that's the end of the discussion.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I can see it from both sides now. First of all, as a manager, when a player is throwing a tantrum, I've just taken him off, I'm really irritated with it. You know, he continues this sort of tantrum, carrying it on, and then maybe as I look behind me, maybe still carrying on as he sits down. That I can't have, I must admit. And a couple of times I've nailed a couple of players who have had tantrums. Generally speaking, the reason I've taken them off is because they've been pretty poor, and so I don't think that they've any sort of excuse. Getting back to the other one as a player, unfortunately, I've actually done that myself. I have thrown a few tantrums. One in particular was the Charity Shield final in 1978. We're playing Ipswich, and I have just scored my second goal. We're leading Ipswich 4, so I've got about 14 or 15 minutes in which to score a hat-trick in the game. This is so... Clough takes me off. My final piece of action was actually scoring the goal. So we weren't in the best of terms at the time. And as I've just gone past him, I've said, scared in case I got the hat trick with you. And he was apoplectic. He got up and he said, don't you ever speak to me like that. And so he's the manager. He was also Brian Clough, and he was brilliant.
And you never did it again, I take it?
Well, actually, I'll follow on from that later on, believe it or not, when it comes to a point, again, to my total embarrassment and to my total discredit about not turning up for a game of football. But my reasons in mitigation were actually because I'd been left out of the side when I didn't think I should have been left out. It wasn't because I didn't want to play. I wanted to play.
I've read the book, I know all about it.
I wanted to play all the time, and to my eternal discredit, I didn't turn up for a game. That was bad news as well.
Oh.
Do not turn up for a game when Brian Clough is the manager.
That amazes me about you. I never thought. I cannot put you in that category.
Oh, my head had gone at the time.
You didn't turn up for a game.
I didn't turn up for a game. Yeah. I didn't turn up for a game. I'll try and tell it to you in about 4 sentences. Right. Okay. I was playing centre midfield at the time, which is the position I wanted to do. I'd been playing wide right for quite a number of years, but Brian Clough thought my best position was wide right, and he might have been right at the time. Doesn't really matter. But then, when everybody got fit, I got shifted back out to wide right, where I'd been playing really well. The results had been really good for Forest at the time, and then I got shifted out. And then after one game, then he made me sub against Stoke. I thought, this is it. I went into his office and said, I'm not turning up. He said, you be there tomorrow. And I didn't turn up for the game. The bad news, John Robertson, my friend, phoned me that morning and said, Martin, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? He said, the good news is that the game is off against Stoke. The bad news is that Brian Clough came over from Derby, because he'd normally collected around about Derby to go to Stoke. And he's come over to see whether you were on the bus or not. So on Monday, I walked into the training ground. He and Peter Taylor just pulled me into the office, waylaid me in many aspects, verbally, and fined me, suspended me for a fortnight, and I have to say they were right, and never to do that again. But it was the frustration was blinding me at this stage. So in mitigation, I thought I was doing the right thing. Many years later, I wasn't.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.